Hello besties, welcome back to my book channel. I have a lot of pimples breaking out on my face right now, but I'm pre-filming for all the videos that I want to release over winter break, so I don't really have time to worry about this. We're just gonna get started and talk about my anticipated releases for 2025. So I have a winter TBR that I set a couple weeks ago that I want to read over the course of these next couple of months. I have a lot of books that I just in general want to read, my want to read list on Goodreads, that shelf is over 100 books, but there are a lot of books that are being released in 2025 that I am excited for, even if some of them I haven't actually started the series yet. I just know that they're coming out and I know that I want to eventually get to them, so a little all over the place, but I have 15 books today to talk about and I just want to get right into it. So I have the list here on my phone that I'm going to be referencing, and also a lot of these books don't have covers yet because they're anticipated. If I have the cover, I'll put them on the screen. So the first book is Love Arranged by Lauren Asher. This is the third book in the Love Redesigned or the Lakefront Billionaires series. It comes out on January 1st and I have not started the series at all. The only book that I've read by Lauren Asher is The Fine Print, and I have the sequel to that book also on my shelf. It's on my physical TBR, but I haven't started her other series, which is Lakefront Billionaires, but I've only heard good things about that series, so it is on my TBR in general. And the third book comes out at the beginning of January, so I really need to get on it and read more of her stuff, see if I like the way that she writes. I gave The Fine Print 3 stars, but I know it's not her best work, so hopefully I hear good things about Love Rearranged, or is it Love Arranged? Love Arranged. Hopefully I hear good things about that whenever it comes out in literally a couple of weeks. We are doing this in chronological order, so next, the book that comes out on January 21st that I'm sure we are all excited for. I think everyone on booktok can agree with me whenever I say that I am incredibly anticipating Onyx Storm by Rebecca Yarros. Like I said, January 21st is when it comes out. This is the third book in the Empyrean series, which has Fourth Wing and Iron Flame in it. Both of those books I read and I gave 5 and 4 stars respectively, and I'm obsessed with this series. It is very much worth the hype in my opinion because it is very, very popular on TikTok and Bookstagram, whatever you want to call it, but because of the cliffhanger that we got at the end of book 2, I need this book immediately. It needs to be in my hands right now. I have not pre-ordered it because I'm afraid that if I do, it's gonna show up a day or so after release day, and I think I might just instead drive myself to the bookstore on release day and try to pick it up because I need to read it ASAP, and I think I will make a vlog for that specific book as well so you guys can hear my final thoughts as soon as I get them. Also on January 21st, I'll Look For You Everywhere comes out, which is the book that I wanted to read over the summer, but I realized that it released in the summer in the UK, but it hasn't released in the US yet. Anyway, it's kind of complicated, but this is a book by an Instagram creator that I saw a little snippet of I don't know, a year ago, and so I've been following her and waiting for her debut. So any hype that I can give about this book, I want to give to just get more awareness for this new book coming out. But I did get to read a couple chapters of it when it was posted before she actually made it into a published work, and the little snippets that I got were amazing. So I'm pretty sure this is either a second chance romance or a best friend's brother. Maybe it's best friend's brother instead. Something she knows the person basically from some connection, but they're reuniting in a wedding in Italy. So it should be really, really interesting. And I've been waiting, like I said, for a while to read this. It's just been delaying for other reasons. So when it comes out, I'll be picking this one up in January. Next, we move on to February, and this is when Deep End by Ali Hazelwood comes out. I have heard practically nothing about this book, but apparently it is about swimmers or divers, deep end of a pool, Ali Hazelwood, I have read 4 of her books. I read all of her feminist, scientist, Love Hypothesis, Love Theoretically, those books. I read all 3 of those. Didn't love the second or third one as much as I liked the first one, I think because they were all just copy paste of each other, but I read Bride this year and I either gave it 4.5, I think it was 4.5 stars. So good. It was so weird and random, but it surprised me how good it was, so I really, really enjoyed that one. Anyway, I need to read more by her is what I'm saying. I have Not in Love by Ali Hazelwood on my immediate TBR, but when this book comes out, I'm also anticipating this because I want to see more of what she can do that's not in the science realm. I think she's been doing well recently about stepping out of that very copy-paste zone that she was stuck in for a while there, so I'm excited to see more of what she does and see if I really like her as an author, because I think I do. I think I do, but just some of them have not been hits for me. Also in February, Rebel Witch comes out on February 18th. This is the sequel to Crimson Moth or Heartless Hunter, depending on like what country you're in. It has two different names, but I'm pretty sure this is the end of a duology, and I love a duology. Absolutely obsessed. If you guys saw my last video, you know how much I love duologies. So I have not actually read Crimson Moth yet, but it's on my immediate TBR, okay? Like I said, all these books, I'm going to read them so I can read the sequel, and I've heard nothing but amazing things about this sequel. sequel and the first book too. So I just need to like bite the bullet and pick it up at some point. These are romantasies about a witch and a witch hunter, and apparently they're just like incredible. So whenever that book comes out on February 18th, I will hopefully have read the first one by then so I can pick up the second one and complete the series. All right, moving into March. On March 18th, we have Sunrise on the Reaping by Suzanne Collins. This is the second prequel to Hunger Games, which of course everyone read in like middle school. I read them like, I don't know, years ago, but I love those books. They're absolute classics in my mind, or they will be like modern classics. Now, I never read the first prequel book, which is the Songbirds and Snakes book, which is about President Snow's story before the actual Hunger Games takes place. Never read that book, but I did watch the movie, and I adored the movie. So I know that the story is good. I just never actually picked up the physical book. Definitely a me issue, but I'm interested in reading Sunrise on the Reaping, which is actually Haymitch's book, which if you know Haymitch from the stories, it's his Hunger Games, and I'm expecting it to be very emotional and very sad. And I don't know if they have plans to create a movie for that one as well, but I think I will pick up that book and just see what my thoughts are on it. Because again, I haven't read anything by Suzanne Collins since the original trilogy from like middle school, so I'd love to see, how her writing is now. And if I like it, maybe I will go back and read the prequel Songbirds and Snakes as well. Because I feel bad that I never actually read it. I just watched the movie, and I am firmly a book before movie girl, so it kind of goes against like my morals, but we'll see. Moving into April. On April 1st, we have two books. The first one is Fearless by Lauren Roberts. This is the third and final book in the Powerless series that I've been reading this year. First book was 4-star, novella was 3, and then the second book was 4.5 stars. I personally think I know what's going to happen in this book. Not everything, but as far as the relationship goes and like the cliffhanger at the end of book 2, like I predicted the cliffhanger, and honestly I don't think that this book does anything crazy as far as like original ideas or anything, super unique. Maybe that's controversial to say. That's why I just didn't like Powerless. I gave it 4 stars, like I enjoyed it, but I just thought that it was very, what we've seen before. So I don't think that Fearless is going to be anything like blow me out of the water, mind-boggling, like crazy book, but the books are just super fun to read, and I can't fault it for that at all. So I am excited to pick this up and just see how she finishes out that trilogy, and hopefully we'll get more by Lauren Roberts and maybe a new series coming out soon, I hope, after she finishes this one, because she's done extremely well with this series, so I can only see her trajectory going up from here. Also on April 1st, we have Say You'll Remember Me, which is another release by Abby Jimenez. I read 3 of Abby Jimenez's books this year and loved them, gave them all 4 stars. She writes very emotional romance books, but they also have little sprinkles of like comedy in them and a little bit of like literary fiction with like side characters, and basically there's just so much depth to her romance. I am sure you've either seen or heard of her this year. She has been incredibly popular, and this new book apparently is very emotional. Obviously it is a romance, but I've heard it also tackles different subjects about like dementia and things, which is definitely a hard-hitting topic for me personally, at least. So I'm expecting to cry in this one. And I know that she's going to blow it out of the water like she always does, but when that book comes out, I will be picking up ASAP so I can continue the Abby Jimenez backlist. Is that what it's called? Like all of her books? I'm excited for it. All right, moving on. April's actually a very busy month as far as releases go. So on April 15th, we have Wild and Wrangled by, what is her name? Lila Sage. Lila Sage, that's it. So this is the 4th book in the Rebel Blue Ranch series. I have read books 1 and 2 and gave them 4 and 3 stars respectively. I didn't love book 2. I thought it was kind of basic, but I am excited about reading book 3, which is about characters that I really do love, so hopefully that will bring me back to that 4-star level, hopefully, in the series. And then Wild and Wrangled comes out in April, and I'm not sure even who the characters that it's about are, but I guess maybe we'll find out at the end of book 3. This is a cowboy romance series, so if you like Chestnut Springs by Elsie Silver, this is another great option for you to pick up. Personally, I do prefer Chestnut Springs, and I know it's not fair to compare these two series because everyone always does, but it's because they are incredibly similar. Chestnut Springs does have my heart, but I am enjoying the Rebel Blue Ranch series, and I know that Lila Sage can write a good romance book, so hopefully the 3rd book and then when the 4th book comes out in April will blow me out of the water and be super, super good. Moving on, we also have Great Big Beautiful Life by Emily Henry coming out on April 22nd. I have read 3 Emily Henry books. I've read Beach Read, People With Me on Vacation, and Funny Story. So I haven't read Book Lovers or Happy Place, although Book Lovers is on my physical TBR, but I am excited for this one coming out in April because out of all the books that I've read by her, I do genuinely enjoy her work. It's not like 5-star material for me because her work, although they are romance books, it kind of verges more on literary fiction or contemporary fiction, and that's not usually my favorite genre. I do prefer romance to that, but I do think that even though there are external things happening in the story besides the romance, she is always good at creating a good love story underneath all of that. And this book coming out, everyone is really excited for, so I am too. And hopefully I can maybe read like Happy Place or Book Lovers before that so I can get more of a backlist done. The last book, oh no, two more. Like I said, April's gonna be a crazy month. Two more in April. One is Rewind It Back by Liz Tom Ford. Actually, I heard that it's pronounced Liz Tom Fordy. I don't know if that's completely right, but Larry from Larry Reads said that's how it's pronounced, and she apparently met Liz. Anyway, this book, Rewind It Back, comes out on April 24th. This is the 5th book in the Windy City series. Now, I've read books 1 and 2 in this series, and I need to catch up with the rest of them because I love this series. I gave the first book 4 stars, the second book 4.5 stars. These are all contemporary sports romances, and they're all so good. And I heard that people love book 4, so I need to read book 3 and 4 to catch up. And then book 5 is about one of my favorite characters, so they actually saved his book for last, but that's okay. I'll be patient. I will wait. I cannot wait to read about Rio's story in book 5. I love the way she writes. I love her stories. I think they're just so good. Her characters are really complex, and it's honestly, she writes amazing romances. So I need to finish the series and catch up so that in April I am ready for Rio's book. And then the last book, finally, that I'm excited for in April comes out on the 29th, and that is Enigma by Runix. So Runix and I have an interesting relationship. I don't know her, but the author wrote the Dark Verse series, and I read the first 2 books in those series and loved them. These are dark mafia romances. The first 2 follow one couple, and then the other 3 books in the series follow different couples, but I actually soft DNF'd book 3. Now, I completely intend to go and reread that book and like actually finish it, and hopefully I will continue the series, but from what I got from the first 2 books, I really like her writing, and I do like her storytelling a lot. So when I heard that Enigma is coming out, which I think is a dark academia book, very different from her usual mafia vibe, I was intrigued. So again, I had to read more by Runix, but I really am excited to see what she does with this different concept coming out in April. So I will keep my eyes open for that for sure. Okay, just a couple more. So next is Can't Get Enough by Kennedy Ryan. This comes out on May 13th. This is the 3rd book in her series. Oh, I don't even know what it's called. Let me look it up. What is the first one called? Okay, I looked it up. It's the Skyland series. So the first book is Before I Let Go by Kennedy Ryan. I have not read this, nor have I read the second book in the series, and Can't Get Enough is book 3, so I need to like completely start the series so I can catch up to when this comes out in May. But I have read other books by Kennedy Ryan, and I adore her work. I read the Grip series. I read a couple books in her Hoops series. I think she is such an amazing author, and she also has a lot of diversity in her books, which is really appreciated. She especially focuses on Black characters, which is great in her novels. And this is the 3rd book in her recent series, which I heard is very emotional. It mostly focuses on second chance romances, and I've heard nothing but fantastic things. So when I'm in the mood for a good cry, I will pick up this book. This one comes out in May, but also like I keep saying this, and this is just adding books to my TBR, so I don't know what I will actually realistically get to before these books come out, but they're at least on my radar now. Okay, Caught Up by Nafessa Allen comes out in June, or on June 10th. The first book in this, I don't know if it's a series or duology, was Lights Out that I just read a couple months ago. This book has kind of gone viral. It's really good. It's like a crazy concept, and I gave it 4.5 stars. It's so good. The main character, Josh, in this book, he's so funny. It's like so funny. It's a dark romance, but it has so much humor in it that I absolutely was obsessed with it. So the second book comes out in June. I don't know much about the plot of the second book, but just because of her writing style and her humor in book 1, I know I'm gonna pick up book 2 and love it. And also, everyone loves the audiobook for Lights Out, and I also enjoy the audiobook for part of it. I didn't listen to the entire thing on audiobook because I got it in paperback form as well, but I listened to part of it on audiobook. So if they have an audiobook for, Caught Up, I'll probably listen to that as well if they have similar audiobook narrators, because that audiobook was really good. And the last book on my list, we're skipping quite a few months ahead with this, but it is The Ballad of Falling Dragons, which is a sequel to When the Moon Hatched. This comes out on October 7th. Now, I have not read When the Moon Hatched, okay? But this is on my TBR for winter. So like it's on my immediate TBR, and I really want to pick it up in the next couple of months. And like I said, this book comes out in October, so I have a while to wait. But this is a chunky fantasy duology. At least I think it's a duology. And apparently it's so good. Crazy world, crazy magic system. They have dragons in it, which if you know me from Fourth Wing, I love dragons in my books. And I'm really excited for this to come out. I have no clue about what happens in the plot of the first one, never mind the second one, okay? But I just know that I've only heard good things, so I'm very excited for it. Now, the reason that there is such a big time jump in between June and October and why there's nothing else after this is because a lot of authors don't like announce their book releases for 2 many months in advance. So I have a lot of books that are coming out in like the springtime, but not much after like June. So I'm definitely, you know, gonna be on the lookout for my favorite authors. If they have any announcements coming out for other books later in the end of next year, these are the ones that I know for sure are coming out next year that I'm very excited for. And hopefully you could put one on your TBR if you found something that piques your interest. I appreciate you so much for watching this video. Subscribe to my channel because I post book videos every single Thursday, and I will see you guys next week.